people right now webinar to be going through, and I'm really excited about this webinar. Given the current job market in the US and all of the past experience that I have of hiring for our positions at Peterson's over the last year and a half. I have done some great research and I would love to share all of that information with you. So we are going to go ahead and get started. And we're going to start with our copyright information. So this document contains proprietary information and it is copyrighted for RMC Learning Solution. This document is not for use or disclosure outside of those who attend this webinar and may not be copied, recorded, or reproduced in any manner, in whole or in part, without the prior written consent of RMC Learning Solutions. So a little bit about myself. My name is Cheryl Karstens, and I'm the manager of curriculum development and a trainer with RMC Learning Solutions. I have over 20 years of experience in training and development, project management, agile, hybrid, business analysis, and leadership development. I am a three-time speaker at PMI Global Summit, and I encourage everyone, if you have the opportunity to go to the PMI Global Summit, you will love it. They have exceptional speakers, and there's a bunch of tables and vendors, and you can learn all kinds of new things that are either coming out or are already available for your organization, as well as listen to all of the speakers and just learn a ton. I have a BA in Human Resources from Metropolitan State University in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where I'm currently located. And I've also completed all the courses for a master's degree in organizational leadership. I have not yet finished my thesis, so I do not actually have, sorry about that. There we go. I do not actually have my master's in organizational leadership yet. But as I said, I have completed all of the courses. And then also on this slide, you will also see my LinkedIn address. I've had a great opportunity to connect with many of you that are attending our webinars, and I love LinkedIn. I love to be able to read and see what everyone is doing. So I would love for you to ask for me to be your friend. I guess that's what they call it also on LinkedIn. So a little bit about RMC Learning Solutions. We were founded in 1991 by Rita Mulcahy, and then last January, we were purchased by Peterson's, and Peterson's is a great company for RMC to partner with because they do all kinds of test prep for K through 12, and then they also do for nursing and firefighters and police officers and all kinds of other career mapping that they can do, and so we are a great fit for their organization. And we have at RMC helped over 1 million professionals prepare for certification exams in project management, business analysis, and agile. And we are putting some of the final touches on our new PMI ACP book for certification. And then hopefully we will all be ready to have a class for you in September. So we have numerous learning solutions and products ranging from self-study to e-learning to classroom to instructor-led virtual. And I'm also going to be going through towards the end of this webinar some information on our new website at rmcls.com. And you'll be able to see all of our products there. And then we also now have a subscription that you can get some of the tools and do some self-study with. RMC also has international reach. We currently train in 60 regions in 18 languages around the world. And we are an outcome-based learning organization through professional instructors, coaches, and mentors. And what outcome-based learning means is that after you take every one of our courses, there is either an action plan or some course of action for you to take immediately after you've taken that class. And for our webinar today, we will have 3 tips that you will be able to start to implement right away. So our agenda for today is we are building a team with the right skills, the right people, and right now. And why building a team is part of the PMP exam content outline. And then, as I said, 3 tips that you can use today. And then the new rmcls.com website. I will be going through that with you all a little bit as well. So when we are talking about hiring, or we are looking at it both from the perspective of yourself and looking for a new position, or you are a hiring manager, or you're looking for somebody in your department to help train or to help them improve their skills. All of these points need you to be able to react with your emotional intelligence. And I found this out as I was looking at hiring over the past year. I really looked at my social awareness and empathy, my organizational awareness, and understanding the environment. All of these were skills that were very important for me to understand exactly the person that we needed. And also, when I was interviewing people, it was very helpful when I was thinking about how they would fit in with our team, but also what new skills that they may have that may also be beneficial to our organization, and of course also to my department. And so then I was looking at my social skills with others and how I was able to use my influence, have some inspirational leadership, think about developing others, and then how all of those teams were going to be able to work together and collaborate on all of the information that we have to go through when we're creating courses or webinars or any of the information that we are currently working on. So it was very helpful for me to use my emotional intelligence and to be very aware of it. And as we are talking about building a team with the right skills, the right people, and right now, it is important to think about not only what the potential employee can do in your department right now, but then also to think about the future and what skills they may be bringing in that is going to help you to do more or to look at things differently in the future. So, one of the things that I wanted to do was to look at the current job market. And I found out some really interesting information. So, we currently in the United States have a low unemployment rate of 4.2%, which honestly was a lot lower than I thought it was going to be. And in the month of May, there was 139,000 jobs that were added in our job market. Now, to me, that number still seems a little bit low, but I was surprised to hear that the percentage is only 4.2%, just because of the media and all that I've heard lately about all the people getting laid off, and then all the people that have been looking for work for quite a long time, sending out all kinds of resumes and waiting in order to either find a position or find a new position. So, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, they trending up in looking at job opportunities is in healthcare, leisure and hospitality, and social assistance. And the average hourly earnings I found really interesting. That is $36.24 per hour. And like I said, I found that interesting because that ends up being roughly $75,000 a year, which I thought that the current job market, the average earnings was significantly less than that. So I was a little surprised to see that that is $36 an hour. But of course, that also is an average. So we've got plenty of people that are making more than that, and plenty of people who are making less than that. And just as a side note, because we've all heard quite a bit about the federal government and employees being laid off. And so the federal government employees are down about 59,000 people this year since January. And something to keep in mind for that is that workers that are on a paid leave or that are being paid out a severance are not currently a part of the unemployment rate. And so that may bring that percentage up a little bit after they are done being paid out their severances. I know not everyone that was a government worker got a severance, but I believe there is still a good chunk of people who are out and are looking for a job right now. So, first of all, and this is something that I did and took quite a bit of time with, is when you are hiring, is determining the skills that are needed for that current position. So one of the key parts that you can do to help you is to create a resource breakdown structure, which there is a copy of on the slide. And I did this to look at and map out the work and the people that I had on my team to currently create, excuse me, RMC curriculum. And I looked at all of the different positions that we had available and that we were hiring for. And I made a map. And I also did the resource register where I started to look at the skills inventory, the quantity of people, when exactly they were going to be needed, and then also balancing our internal and external employees. We have quite a few contract instructors, which are external employees. And I also needed to look at the number of external employees that we currently have, how we are paying them, what we are paying them, and take all of their skills into consideration when I was looking to hire a internal professional development instructor. So being able to look at and assess those skills is really, really important. Excuse me. And it helps you to identify what skills exist on your team, so you do an analysis of internal sources, again, the quantity, availability, leadership or leadership potential, and also then doing that same with your external employees. And then you want to look at drafting your team. What is it going to look like in the future? So I started setting some goals and looking at what those goals, how they would be completed by some of the potential applicants that I had, asking their interest, matching their skill for skill mastery, and then negotiate for leader commitment. And so, as I was doing this and going through and thinking about those potential skills for the people that I was hiring, I also noticed that most of the applicants had additional skills. And part of what I started to look at then was those skills that exist. That our potential team members had, and then looking to the future and what our department would be able to do, or different types of content that they would be able to create versus what we had been doing in the past. As I said earlier, RMC was purchased by Peterson's last January. So we're now at about a year and a half, and we do have the potential to look at creating new curriculum or creating a different curriculum for some of the courses that we already have. And so part of that, as I was interviewing and looking at resumes, was also looking at the future and what we would be able to do, how we would be able to look at creating some potentially new curriculum or new products. So one of my favorite graphics is the Dreyfus Model School of Skill Mastery. And as I was considering some of the applicants and reviewing whether or not they were a potential fit for Peterson's, I went back and I thought about this model of skill mastery. You may have heard me talk about this before, but I like to think about it as learning how to ride a bike or learning how to drive a car. And so, for example, when you are a novice, your commitment is somewhat detached. Your decisions being made are very analytical, and you don't necessarily have a lot of perspective on how exactly your position or the skill that you are working on is supposed to go. You've been trained on it, you may have past experience, but as you are, for example, learning to drive a car, you're very conscious of everything that you're doing. You are putting that key in the car if it still has a key. A lot of cars don't even have keys anymore. But if you are putting that key in, you're turning on the car, you're adjusting the mirrors to make sure that you are able to see. You may be adjusting your seat. And all of those pieces you're very conscious of, and making sure as you're pulling out of your parking spot that you are looking both ways and that you are making sure that no one is going to be in the way as you are driving past them. And then when you become an advanced beginner, Your commitment, you are still somewhat detached. Your decisions are also analytical. And again, you still do not have a lot of perspective on what you actually are doing. So, for example, if you are driving a car and you are an advanced beginner, you are still very conscious when you are turning on the car. You're still looking at all of the mirrors to make sure, excuse me, that you can see out of each of the mirror. Your car seat is probably in the proper place already. Or if it's not, you have a better idea of where to place it. And you do all of these same things you do as a novice, but you aren't quite as conscious of it. You are thinking more about what you're going to be doing, where you're going to be going if you are driving. Oh, excuse me. You are still very conscious of what you are doing, but things are a little bit easier. You're not having that same novice type of fear that you're going to be doing something wrong. As an advanced beginner, you've maybe drove a few times already and you're feeling more comfortable in that position. As you become more competent, you do have a detached understanding and deciding, but you are involved in what that outcome might be. Your decisions are still made very analytically. And your perspective is more of a chosen perspective. You have confidence in your driving ability. You, as you're turning on the key, you may think about it, you may not, you may just do it. You may look at the mirrors, you may not. If you're the only one using that car and they're in the same spot, then you may not even notice or even check them. And as you start to pull out from your parking space, you are much more aware of what's going on outside of the car than you are as far as what is going on inside of the car. And then as you move to be a proficient, you have more of a detached deciding. Things start to become more automatic. So as you are driving the car, like I said, you're probably not looking at the mirrors anymore. You probably start the car, don't even think about it. And your perspective is more of an experienced person. You've been driving for a while now. You are proficient in pulling out of the parking spot, turning right, turning left. Everything feels very comfortable for you. And then you will eventually move up to being an expert. And then your decisions are intuitive. And so you are doing things, you are turning, and you're not even thinking about it anymore. Your body knows what it's supposed to be doing, how you're supposed to be reacting, and it is just going through that as you become more of an expert in driving. I also, as I said, I like to think of the driving example because that works very well with a position, or as you are learning a position in an organization. So, for example, when we had a new content developer that was working on an e-learning project, and she had never used the program for that we use for our e-learning. We use Lectora. And when she started off, she was a novice. She had to learn everything about Lectora, how to get it to make people move and the audio and have a transcript and all of the details with our e-learning. And as she became more proficient, then she became an advanced beginner and then could do some of the pieces of creating the e-learning more automatically and didn't have to think everything through. I would say now she's probably more at a competent or a proficient in the e-learning creation, as she has had to work through some problems, having people help her, being able to talk to our vendor and ask them some questions. So, as we are working through all of the issues with our e learning, she is also becoming more of an expert of using Lectora. She's not quite there yet, but it hasn't been that long. So we are working towards that, and then we are also using this Dreyfus model of skill mastery. So as I'm looking at applicants and resumes, I'm starting to think about what long term do I want my team to be able to do? What type of skills do they have? So I started to look at our ultimate team objectives. And of course, I want to have a cohesive team. I want them to be engaged. Definitely at the beginning, they're going to be challenged, but I also want them to be collaborative and to have a successful team. And just a few weeks ago, we met in Denver and had a team meeting there, and it was great. Everybody got along really well, and we have now a very cohesive team, and I'm very, very happy with them. Um, so I look at now what I can do and how I will evaluate our success areas. And so I want to look at and make sure that we are working on our trust and we're continuing to build more trust, that we have cooperation, a focus, accountability, and that we are also focused on our outcomes. We have been training for quite a while, and now we are looking at getting our work done and creating those desirable outcomes. And then also, I'm looking at how I'm going to help them in the future to continue to grow their skills. So, grow more technical skills, grow interpersonal skills, and then also grow those team skills. So we can always stay a cohesive team, but there's many other people that work at Peterson's that we are in contact with, and helping them to be able to be more known and credible in their positions, and then also to be seen as a person that someone can reach out to answer their questions or to help them in the future. So, how do we do that? We look at support knowledge sharing and transfer. And so, part of what we're looking at, first of all, is our knowledge, our explicit and our tacit knowledge. Our explicit knowledge is based on facts and numbers and things that people are able to see and do. And all the tacit knowledge is a little bit more difficult to describe, but it's generally based more on feelings and things that are a little bit more difficult for people to describe. And so part of what I have been doing with my new team members then is to be able to learn more about the knowledge that they currently have from their past employers and past life experience, and then figure out how we can, or how that can help us in our new positions and develop more interesting and better content. And I also ask them a lot of questions. I like to understand exactly what they've done in their past and then figure out how that again can help us in the future. And so some of the methods that are used are having them pairing or observation or having them work together, doing some coaching and mentoring, having our knowledge repositories. And we currently use the Google Drive. And after being sold and having everything deposited in a few different places, we need to get our repository cleaned up so it is much easier to be able to find the things in it. And then information radiators. We are in the process of creating some great spreadsheets that we're going to be able to use to help us track projects and track all the items of different things that we are working on. So, why building a team is part of the PMP exam content outline? As I said, as I was going through and looking at how to help plan for my specific team, and doing an evaluation of the resumes and different people that I was speaking with. One of our requirements for example, for being the professional development instructor, was to have their PMP certification. And as I was reviewing resumes, we had tons and tons of applicants that did not have their PMP. And it was something that I definitely noticed and took note of, because many times when you are talking about hiring or thinking about hiring, there are people that will say, you know, if you don't have all of the things that they're asking for on their resume, to apply anyways. And that's why I think we had a lot of people without their PMP that did apply for our position. But part of the professional development instructor's job is to teach our new PMP exam prep course. And they do have to be certified in order to do that. So I spent a lot of time going through resumes and sorting them out of people that did not have their PMP. And for me, that was just a very good exercise of thinking of looking at resources, looking at the job description, the resumes that we received, to make sure that the person that we were interviewing or going to hire was qualified for that position. So I would also encourage each of you that are looking for a new position to look at that required part of a job description that somebody is posting, and think about why they do have the things that are posted in there. And generally, if it is listed as required, if you do not have that type of experience or certification, you're probably not going to be interviewed for that position. So when we are looking at the PMP exam content outline and looking at the right people, right skills right now, we're going to start by looking at the people domain, which has 14 tasks and 53 enablers. And the people domain is focusing on leading and developing the team to be high performing, facilitating through communication and engagement with stakeholders, and collaborating and servant leadership. And all of these are really good points for hiring, for looking at people for future positions, but then also for yourself as you are looking at going through and reviewing resumes and interviewing people. I also do think if you are an applicant, you should also be looking at your resume with this lens. And if you are looking for a leadership position, putting in examples when you are leading and developing the team, when you are facilitating through communication and engagement with stakeholders, and how you have collaborated and shown yourself to be a servant leader. The specifically on task 6 in the people domain, they're talking about building a team, and the enablers are appraise stakeholder skills, deduce project resource requirements, continually assess and refresh team skills to meet project needs, and then maintain team and knowledge transfer. And if you think about looking at a team as a group of people that are going to be all working together, these are all definitely things that you want your team members to have or to be open to getting or developing more of those skills. So that is something that is important to me when I am looking at hiring, to be able to know that my team members have good communication skills, that they're not afraid to share information with the team. They're not the type of people that are going to learn something new and keep it all for themselves. I want to have a very collaborative team, and I want everyone to be in the know. So why building a team is included in the exam content outline? It's all part of success. And success requires planning, organizational awareness, analysis, adaptability, and empathy. And all of those pieces are also included in our exam content outline. And so when you are studying for or taking the PMP exam, they have a lot of this information included in the exam content outline. We have a lot of it included in our exam prep book and within our courses. And all of these, again, are different ways to help build a team for not only the success of the project manager, but then also the success of the project itself. So if you remember that a project is deemed to be successful if it delivers the business value or delivers value to the business. And that is a very important part, and one of the items in the exam content outline that helps us to be able to then monitor in the future whether or not our projects are being successful. So 3 tips that you can use today when we are talking about the right people, right skills right now. So number 1 is to create a resource breakdown structure and a resource register that I talked about at the beginning of this webinar. It is very helpful to have you think about how this person will interact within your department and within your organization, and then being able to create a resource register to make sure that everyone on that team has the correct skills and abilities. Negotiate for the right people, and then prepare an assessment checklist. So, as I said, here is an example of a resource breakdown structure and then the resource register. So then you can start thinking about the different activities that are going to be completed by your team members and make sure that they have all the skills that are needed in order to complete those activities. You want to look at the quantity of people on the team, when they're going to be needed, if they are an internal or an external employee. Also, you want to look at and think about leadership skills, when they are ready to have a mastery level of the skills that are required for their position. And then what are some of their interests and concerns? And I find that it usually takes me a little bit while that people are on my team before I really start to learn more about their interests and concerns, more so from being a external, or I'm sorry, a remote employee. And a lot of times when we are meeting, we are part of a group or a meeting for some specific reason. So I don't necessarily get to hear a lot about their interests. And that was one of the reasons why I flew to Denver and my team met and we had lunch together, and we did spend a lot of time planning for the future of our team, but we also did spend some time getting to know each other personally and understanding what are some of the interests of my team members. And I love that. I love to be able to understand whether or not somebody has a significant other or has any kids or has any interests that are outside of our work, but things that we might have in common or things that I can appreciate and learn from my team members. And then number two is to negotiate for the right people. When I was in the middle of hiring, and I did find that I found that the work environment was much different than when I had hired in the past. And I needed to be able to negotiate and go back to my leadership group and talk to them about the people that I did want to hire, because some of them did request to be paid more than what we had originally set to offer people. Some people wanted to work remotely. Some people wanted to negotiate. They wanted to work remotely but come into the office once in a while. Had people that were looking for more PTO time. Um, and I just found that people are much more likely to speak up for what their needs are. And again, I had more opportunity to be able to go back to our leadership group, to the hiring managers, and discuss different things that our applicants were asking for. And then lastly is to prepare an assessment checklist. And this is something that I'm going to be doing more frequently now that my team is in place and everyone is working together, to do some types of assessments, both formal and informal, of looking over people's work, making sure that there are no errors, and making sure that I ask them questions and allow them to ask me questions and be open to discussing anything about their projects. Also being open to listening to feedback. There are things in Peterson's and at RMC that we've been doing for a long time, and maybe we need to look at doing it differently or making some updates to that. We want to empower the team to plan and act to improve, to watch for changes in behavior and attitude, and then make adjustments. So one of the best ways to be able to do this is to look at an assessment checklist. And I have on the right side of the slide listed out some of those particular areas of trust, cooperation, focus, accountability, outcomes, and then also those growth areas of how can they improve their technical skills, interpersonal skills, and team skills. And one of the areas that I appreciate and have been working with the organization and different team members is on improving some of our technical skills and being able to create content and look at project management from a more technical ability, being able to create our new ACP book and some of the information that's going into that book, looking at some different types of examples and having more software related information in that class. And those are all things that have come out of an assessment checklist. And those are many of our growth areas where we're going to continue to do research and learn more about, so we can put some of that information into our classes. So next, I would like to go through and show you a few things about our new rmcls.com. It stands for RMC Learning Solutions.com. And when you go to our website, this is the opening page that you are going to find. And you're going to see that there is some different information available for you. So you can now go into our website as an individual or as a organization or looking to purchase 5 or more products as part of a team. And so when you come to this first page, you'll see up at the top, it has for individuals, for businesses, partner with us, or for distributors. And then also in the middle of the page, it has learn as an individual and equip your team. So those are just boxes that you can click on to get more information. And we are hoping to give you that information more targeted towards you as an individual or as a team member. And as I said earlier, we also have subscriptions now, where this is for the PMP exam prep. So you look at the essentials and you have a 1-month subscription where you can receive the Rita Mulcahy's PMP exam prep book and the exam simulator. And you have free shipping in the United States, except for Alaska and Hawaii. And you can get all of that information for $89. And that is a great deal because with shipping, just purchasing the book would normally cost more than $89. Our best value is our plus, where you get those comprehensive exam prep resources, It includes everything in the essentials package. And then you also receive a step-by-step exam prep study plan, hot topics flashcards, the project manager upskilling resources, and again, all of the materials that you receive are shipped in the US for free. And then we also have the advanced, which includes the essentials and the plus package. And then also you can receive the exam prep e-learning course, where you will earn 35 contact hours and personalized expert coaching. And our coaching is going to be happening every other week, starting in July. And we have dates on the calendar that go all the way through January of 2026. So you can definitely get some great deals by making a purchase of a subscription. And of course, then we also have our in-class classes that, of course, I think are fabulous. Um, And when you click on an individual, then there is a spot underneath that does go to live classes. And then you would see the calendar. And I just took a screenshot of the first part of this. So it does have 5 classes available. All of those are listed out. You can click on the read more to get more information about a specific class, and then you can choose the PMP class that is right for you. And I do have a list of some of those dates that I'll be going through with you. And here is one of the screens for the CAPM or the CAPM courses that are listed out for organizations or for people looking to purchase a class for an organization or a group of people. And it gives you information about that on that slide as well. Speaking of the CAPM exam preparation, we do have a class coming up in August, the 19th, 20th, and 21st. And if you are interested in taking the CAPM exam prep, you would receive all of the materials that are listed on this slide. I do know of one organization that did have everyone that was an admin for their project managers. The admins all went through a CAPM course to help them be able to speak the project manager language and understand exactly what they were supporting. So I think that was a great example of when CAPM could be very, very helpful to an organization or to a group of people. And then here we have for our PMP exam prep courses. We have instructor-led e-learning or on-site courses, and you can see we have 4-day classes, and then we also do now offer 10-session classes. And so we do have one that is starting July 14th and runs through August 13th, and that one does run in the evenings. Twice a week. And then we also have another 10-session class that's running August 26th through September 25th. And that one is in the morning hours. Our next webinar for July is a great topic. The leaders and influence in project management. Become the project manager everyone wants to work with. Wouldn't that be great? It is going to take place on July 25th. and there will be more information about registering for this webinar, but you can certainly put this on your calendar now and save the date. And lastly, to claim your PDU, and I will leave this slide up towards the end. Here is your information for claiming your PDUs. And with that, I have finished this webinar for today. I did have some questions on Friday on the webinar. Somebody had asked how you can, with your applicants, find out if they have additional skills that are not listed on their resume that may be helpful for their position. And I believe that is a great question to ask when you are interviewing someone. And then also, if you are an applicant, I also believe that is a great opportunity for you to share any of that information that the hiring person may be interested in learning, and that could be helpful for you in the future. And with that, I am going to bid all of you a goodbye. Thank you very much for listening to this webinar. Again, I apologize for not getting it recorded on Friday, but I hope this was a good reminder of all the information that we did go through on Friday, and I hope you all have a great day. Thank you very much.